I'm sure, unless you're living under a digital rock, Nick Rekieta, one of YouTube's biggest law tubers, a guy that used to focus mainly on legal issues, people's probably most embarrassing and public legal meltdowns, is now going through a public meltdown of his own. And we brought on a man that was once his friend, a man that was so close to him, he shared his wife with him. So we're going to get to the nitty gritty. Please welcome on Aaron Imholte. Excuse me, Aaron. Aaron Imholte from Steel Toe Morning Show. Aaron, please. I messed up. I know your last name. I messed up. Imholte, right?
Imholte, Alex.
Imholte. I know, but I want to say Imholte. You know I know your name, Aaron. It's not even about that. And listen, I'm so happy that you came on. You and I, we've had our, little public bouts and stuff, but I think at the end of the day, you're like me. It's like radio broadcasting, it's just, we're just talking shit on the internet, right? But tell me this.
Pretty much.
You're the hottest you've ever been. You're more popular. You probably are. You work so hard. You're finally at a point you're getting thousands of viewers. Was it all worth it to lose April?
No.
No.
Of course not. This is horrible. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Am I supposed to go on the air? Am I supposed to stay off the air? Am I doing too many shows? Am I not doing enough? I'm thinking about the last 6 months of my life constantly off the air. And then I think, well, if I get on the air and I talk about it, then maybe it'll distract me from thinking about it constantly while I'm on the air. I do a show where I talk about my life and I talk about the news. And now the news is my life and my life is the news. And it's a crazy ride. And I've also done a lot of really terrible things that I need to atone for. And it's been a crazy last I would say week, and I'm still struggling, as you can tell, in how to go forward, what the next step is.
And let's be honest, I think what you're doing is actually very admirable when it comes to just admitting that, hey, listen, I messed up too. I used drugs. I did this. I think that's the best method of public relations right now. But I have to bring up a guy that was supposed to be on this program named Vic Mignogna. Now, Vic's become a good friend of mine, and Vic is really personally affected by all of this, Aaron. I mean, to a level that, I can only say so much stuff out of school, and Vic is going to come on and talk about it. But basically, Nick raised $250,000 in a GoFundMe, then paid an attorney that ended up losing a case, which is a defamation case, which is one of the hardest cases to win. And Vic got hit with an anti-SLAPP lawsuit back and is now responsible for their legal funds that are over $100,000. So Vic is very, for lack of a better word, butthurt by Nick Rekieta. What does Nick say about Vic behind closed doors?
Nothing. A lot of people think that because Nick and I and our wives hung out for 6 months or so that we talked about streaming and talked about it. We really didn't. I mean, we talked about shit that friends talk about.
Did you call his pants gay, though? You said he had gay pants or something? He was very mad about that. Vic was very mad that you guys called him a homosexual, which he's not, for the record.
No, there were gay jokes. There were gay jokes made. I remember one time we were talking in my kitchen. It was just very high school level gay joke kind of.
Were you on cocaine making these jokes? So you're extra a little amped up.
I was not. No, I wasn't making jokes about Vic. I don't know Vic.
Yeah.
I don't know Vic. I only know Vic from I think April may have been on an episode of Simpcast with him. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about Vic. I don't know Vic much at all. I just know that one time, Nick he told a story about Vic, and he's like, Vic was always surrounded by a beautiful girl, and then you wouldn't think it because whatever. I mean, there was nothing really crazy about.
That's pretty
Vic
bad. Nick screwed him over, and then behind his back, he's calling him a homosexual. That's pretty low. Nick Rekieta's been low, but for him to do that, that's low after he screwed over Vic. So I'm Team Vic. But let's get into this. We're going to talk about the wife swapping, all that bad stuff. But what do you think about a guy like Nick Rekieta, made some money, over $1 million in super chats, then he goes to buy himself a nice car, midlife crisis car, and he buys himself a two-door Ford Mustang when he has a family of 7. For me, that is one of the biggest red flags, almost as bad as him using coke, that he's not a very good parent, or at least not a very thoughtful one.
I will say this, Alex, and I love what you do. But the Nick Rekieta I knew when I first met him, was not the Nick Rekieta I knew when, he and I had a big blow up and he told me, that I should K myself and this and that. Like it wasn't the same guy. And when Nick's sober, Nick can be a fun dude to hang out with. Nick can genuinely be a good dude. But again, those fucking demons. Or I'm sorry, I apologize.
You can cuss. You can cuss. No. But you're saying when he's sober, he's okay.
The demons get you, and they won't let go. And the big problem I'm having with Nick right now, publicly, is that obviously my wife, soon to be my estranged wife, they got arrested with drug. Our friend Gino Bisconti said it best. He said, "You got arrested with drugs, guns, and children." And so I'm angry because then I'm associated with it as well. But like my wife, who had never touched cocaine in her life before all of this, and now this big giant downward spiral, and then it culminates in an arrest. Like I'm having a really hard time with it, and I'm incredibly angry. And there are times when I'm on my show and I want to lash out, and then there are times on my show where I'm feeling this empathy, and I want everyone to get better, and I want to get clean. And now as it goes on and more comes out, these feelings are all running closer and closer together. And I just want to serve as a cautionary tale. Look, I'm not innocent. I'm not a good guy. I experimented with cocaine. Luckily, it didn't take. I didn't like it. I did it a few times. I did Molly half a dozen times. Never around my children, but
there were drugs around your children. Nick left a cocaine shooter or a bullet, I think you described, near your children. I mean, I know that's not you leaving it, but you did invite him in your house. So in a way, if the cops came that same day, you could be in just as much legal trouble as Nick, hypothetically.
I did say months before to Nick, never drugs in this house. No drugs in this house. Absolutely not. And when I discovered there were, everyone involved did say like, "Oh, I forgot you said that. I'm so sorry. I feel terrible." And I threw it, it was all gone. Everybody get the hell out of my house, everything else. Look, I think the guy tries to be a good dude, but he can't have those substances like the booze, the cocaine, like everything they found in the house. Like he can't. Like he's a completely different person when he has that stuff.
Well, they said that there's marks on his arm, and I heard in another interview, I think it was on Kino Casino, you said that you don't think he was shooting up heroin, but we don't know what he was doing, but if you have marks on his skin like that, and didn't Nick get fired from, he was one of the homeschoolers and he got fired, and is that the same person that reported him, the person that fired him from his homeschool job? Do you know if that's true?
I don't know. I've kept a very good record of only saying things I directly saw or experienced. I never saw Nick shoot anything up. I have no reason to believe Nick was shooting anything up. And as far as the school thing, the school did ask that he stop teaching due to the streams he was doing and everything else. I know that upset him a lot. I know that he, on his show, went off about the school and the church sometimes. And, we're seeing that now with the judge in his case. Nick has a habit of just going off and railing on people and just shitting all over them at the most inopportune times because he's lashing out because he's hurt. Now I kind of understand that emotion and that feeling, but you also have to take responsibility for your actions. What we all did was terrible. I was a party to it. I didn't get anybody out. I want to point out, before I say anything bad about anybody else, that I was a part of the problem. I could have done more and I didn't. So I'm not here to paint myself as any kind of hero or anything like that. Quite the opposite. I want to be a cautionary tale. Don't open up your marriage. Don't experiment with drugs. If you think it's going to be fun or exploring some kind of fantasy thing, it's going to be a goddamn disaster, and you're going to deal with picking up the pieces for a long, long time. I'm having a serious crisis of conscience, if you were. And then also I have to go on the air and do a show that talks about my life.
Yeah, but
I
you're going
guess
to be
the best
fine,
thing-
Aaron. You already had one wife, your second wife. I'm sure you're going to have a third wife. I'm not just saying that. You're going to have a third wife, dude. Let's be real. So, I mean, let's not play games. I mean, you have fans. Now you have an audience. You're probably going to get a pretty decent one now. Your third one might be the lucky charm.
You know what I should do, Alex? I should date another fan. That's a great idea.
I know.
Thank
Well,
you.
it worked out the first time. Well, I guess, was your original wife a fan, or she knew you before you even on the radio?
I was on the radio in a very small town when I met her. I think I was working my first radio job.
Was she a
Litchfield.
fan? Was your first wife a fan too?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I met. I don't even remember. I met my first wife just at a bar in St. Cloud after my cousin's wedding, I think. So it was just.
Well, listen, Aaron. Like I said, I really respect how honest you're being, but you, and I really respect you too for saying that you're not innocent in all this. But let's go back to how this started. You guys, do we have the Chrissy Mayer clip, guys? Do we have that? Let's talk.
Yeah, we'll pull it up.
Let's pull that clip up. So this is the first time Nick, and I was on the stream. I was on the stream. That's the first time Nick and April technically digitally met. Is that the first time? I think we're going to play the clip. Do we have it?
And this is going to happen. That this is going to be a thing.
Okay, so this is Chrissy connecting the dots.
So. Yeah, well, I already DM'd your husband, so we're going to make this thing work out.
Good deal.
So I do hot tub streams on my locals, and I tell you when it's this could have been really bad. I would have had no idea.
Also, being from Minnesota, can confirm you're correct about the cold wind and shit.
Yeah. Wait, are you in Minnesota also?
Hell yeah. I think my husband Aaron had you on our show at one point, or you were on his show. You two did something together, but yeah, we live in Minnesota.
So
Aaron
who?
Yeah, that's enough of it. So from the start, Nick was hitting on April in a way right there. I mean, would you say that he was being a little flirtatious, Aaron?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think Nick was being quite a bit flirtatious. And, throughout this whole thing, thoughts creep into your head and you wonder, like, was there anything going on before the other stuff was going on? I don't know. I'm sure it's just part of, me reliving the last 6 months in my head. I don't know if there were ever any opportunities to, but yeah, the whole thing it makes you question just about everything. What's real and what isn't.
And then how fast did it snowball? Because the story you said, and I've watched a lot of it, because people are going to be like, Alex, why are you covering this? Well, I'm covering this because I'm actually interested in it. And when I make content, I try to make content that I would watch. And I've been watching all of your interviews. And basically, when was the start of the sexual stuff? They wanted to buy April a birthday present, and you guys went to a sex store, and that's where it was.
That was later.
Oh, that was later. Okay. So how did it happen? Because I know now from what you said, you've gotten very close with Kayla, Nick's wife, that you've had an affection for her, that you enjoyed your time with her, and that I know
everybody got close to everybody, man. It was really at its height, at its peak, we were all convinced that this could work as like a 4-person polyamorous thing. Now, obviously, that's crazy.
That's crazy, dude. Yes, that's crazy.
That can't work. There is a part of me, dude. I think I told you, there's a part of me that feels like I left a cult in a weird way, because we were all kind of drinking the Kool-Aid and it got crazy.
What's the craziest it got? What's the craziest it got when Nick couldn't get his when he had an erectile dysfunction issue?
I don't know. I mean, look, there's.
Because that's pretty bad, Aaron. Didn't he? You're telling me a story. Supposedly, I think you said that April said that he had an erectile dysfunction. Is that true? Or can you elaborate on that?
I can't tell you what happened with Nick. I can just tell you that April came up to me, and asked me for an aid of some sort.
Who banged whose wife better? Did you bang Kayla better, or did he bang April better?
Alex, I don't know. I'd like to think that I do okay for myself.
And let me tell you this. Let me tell you this though, Aaron. I'm not a Boy Scout. when you're using cocaine, it makes it hard to have sexual function. For some people, they use like methamphetamine. They say they can do more sex, but really, in general, it causes impotence. That's a normal thing. So maybe, did you know that he had a limp dick and you weren't even worried about him banging April the whole time because you knew he was so cracked out? And then you were not on the cocaine, so you were able to pleasure his wife?
Alex, I know you and Nick don't like each other.
I like Nick. Nick doesn't like me. I don't have any beef with Nick. I hope Nick gets clean. I wish Nick the best. He's welcome on this show.
I do too. I absolutely hope he gets clean. He needs to, for the sake of his children.
But you banged his wife better than he banged yours, is what you're saying.
I didn't say that, Alex. I don't want, I've said too much already on that.
You haven't said enough. You haven't said, how weird did it get? Did she ever do a rim job or anything like that? How far did she take it?
No.
Because that's
Alex,
the ultimate, that's the most disgusting thing you can do. Did she ever, because you know what? If I'm being honest, just from the outside looking in, I've done a lot of research. I think you were manipulated the most because I think you were the nice guy. Like, you could tell April, you guys are content creators. He has a big channel. He's done this with every law tuber on the internet. He has a big channel. People want to get a part of his audience. That's normal when it comes to creating content. You want people to see your content. That's like the first rule of creating it. So I do think that he manipulates people, by saying, oh, well, I have this big channel. I'm popular. I've had all this super chat money. And I feel like a little bit, you're not a victim, but you were victimized a little bit in that Nick kind of threw his wife on you to try to manipulate you in a weird way, to try to make you seem like a man, like, you won't bang my wife. This Drexel guy supposedly did it. I supposedly wear a Balldo. Like, if you didn't do it, it makes you look like the cuck, kind of, in a weird way.
Look, you run through all possibilities in your head when something like this happens. And I'd like to think that everything was genuine that happened, but I'm not going to, again, you're kind of getting me at my most vulnerable and psychological.
Let it out, because you said with Gino, you don't need to lie.
The only reason buddy, the only reason I'm holding back is because I feel like with the affection and stuff, I've said a lot already, and it's not like I don't like the women involved.
You like Kayla. It seems like you still have feelings for Kayla, if I'm being honest.
That ship has sailed, but I do want her to get, but she has 5 children, for God's sake. I do want all this to be behind them. April too. I want it all to be behind.
Did Kayla have a loose vaginal canal from all the children?
No.
It was still tight? It was still tight?
Look, everybody was...
5 kids is a lot, Aaron. 5 kids is a lot. Did you have to go into another hole, the bonus hole, as they call it?
No, Alex. Excuse me, Howard. No.
No. You and I both love Howard. We both love Bubba the Love Sponge. Bubba's like one of my best friends, and Bubba let Hogan blast his wife. So, this isn't that crazy, let another guy blast your wife. But at the end of the day, I think it's crazy with the drugs and the kids. Like, if there was no kids involved, I wouldn't even be mad. I mean, I wouldn't really throw any shade. It's like, they're adults living their life. Well, how does that affect me? But with the kids, and you would talk about how you went over there, I'd laugh so much, Aaron. That was your best content. You talked about how you gave them SpaghettiOs because you were so earnest about it. And then now looking back, it peeked into a window that we didn't, like, everybody's saying, oh, he's giving them SpaghettiOs because he's not feeding the kids. And now looking back, and that was just internet rumors. It's all true, basically. So
Alex, here's my thing, is I get so frustrated when I watch these law tuber people and they're covering for Nick. And they're going, oh, I don't know how credible Aaron is. Like, every legal document that's come out with every piece of evidence has been exactly what I said it is. Like,
we have a tweet, Robert Barnes. Let's put the Robert Barnes, because listen, I thought Robert Barnes, I had some respect for him, but he's sweeping for Nick. And if they did do an illegal search or whatever, then I guess Nick should have the charges thrown out. But Nick has been exposed as being a deadbeat dad, basically, because he doesn't have custody of his kids. His parents, mother-in-law, father-in-law are the ones that are taking care of it. He's openly using drugs in a household with 5 kids. One is 16. And you know how weird it is. I'm very close with my parents, Aaron. I get the impression that you were close with your parents. How weird would it be if you went in mommy and daddy's room and there's a couple, 4 people sleeping in bed having late night sex, doing God knows what? That's not a good, parental influence. Would you agree?
I'm ashamed of what I've done. I've been told by people, stop, apologizing, stop being ashamed. I don't feel good that I was doing these things and all this was going on. You get carried away. And the worst part is 99% of the time I wasn't on drugs.
Yeah.
I did some experimenting and I wasn't a big fan of it. And I would encourage others to get off it. And that wasn't met very well. but I dabbled in it a bit. But none of the kids didn't see any of that stuff. The kids didn't see any of the real degenerate stuff that wasn't done when the kids were around or anything like that. But
Aaron, I want to say this too. This is one thing is, and you when you first went on Bubba the Love Sponge, when you got fired, and then Bubba had you on, and Bubba said it too. You are a talented broadcaster. You do know how to talk. You do a show 6 hours sometimes a day. Multiple shows. You are talented. I'm not even trying to hate on that. But what sucks is you throw that all out the window. Like, think how big Nick was as soon as you start doing the drugs. And I know that you realize that fast, but you had to see when he revealed the curtain and you're seeing all the drug use and stuff. I mean, you'd have to say, hey, this guy's not going to be very successful living this lifestyle, right? I mean, you're smart enough to know that.
I didn't think about, I'll tell you this, and again, genuinely was a friend of mine. I didn't think about it in terms of his streaming. I thought about it in terms of his health. There were many times where I talked to Nick about cocaine and I'd go, dude, it seems like you're doing a lot. And I don't know much about the drugs. So he could do things like tell me, oh no, well, I've read this and I've looked into this and you don't understand what it actually is this. Like, he had a great way of rationalizing the usage. And unfortunately, I think those things were probably told to my wife as well, because every time I would confront her on the usage, it would end up being a giant fight, and it broke my heart. And I probably didn't handle it well. I probably got very upset with her.
There's no good way to handle that, Aaron. You know that. There's no good way to handle that. And this is what makes me sad too.
But Alex, if I could real quick, Alex, I mean, this was someone that I wanted to be with forever.
I like April too.
And love her. She's a great girl. And to watch someone, I will say this, if you guys, don't be like me. If you see someone in your life and they're even thinking or talking to you about experimenting with drugs, don't let them step in, do what you can, because you just got to watch it change people. And it changed 2 or 3 people that I really liked and really cared about. And I couldn't save them. And I couldn't stop them. And I've been talking about this a lot lately, and it's probably just getting to me a little too much, but I just go through times where I'm angry and I want all of them to pay for what they did. And then there are times where I get like this and I genuinely feel a kind of guilt for not doing more.
Well, it makes Aaron, wait, you're getting emotional. It makes me emotional too, because I remember the stream when April was so happy telling the story about how you proposed to her, how your daughter gave her the ring, and how your daughter proposed to her. It's a very emotional thing. And I know that your kids loved April, and I know that you love April. Why did April change, in your opinion? Do you think Nick is a lot to blame? Because I think April is very funny. I think she's hip. You and I spoke privately. You said that she sometimes takes other people's mannerisms. She kind of did that with you too. She would be, she probably doesn't like to talk shit. Then you start talking shit. She starts talking shit. You know what I mean? I'm just saying she became a broadcaster from emulating you. How much is Nick to blame? Because I think April really is a good person. She seems like she has a good heart. And I know that your family loved her, and I know they had to be struggling with this.
I've really piled on Nick. Some people would say maybe he deserves it. Maybe I've just been talking.
He does.
Maybe I've been talking too long about it. I don't know. But I don't want to put this all on Nick and say that, I know people have used the word groomed before. I'm not going to use the word groomed. April's responsible for her own decisions. I think she did idolize Nick in a way. I think she was taken by the following. I think she was taken by the cars and the money and things like that. But ultimately, she made her own decisions, and I couldn't stop her from making those decisions. I couldn't stop anybody from making those decisions.
You can't stop somebody. Don't beat yourself up. You can't control the things you can't control. But with Nick, he would buy all the drugs. You didn't have a drug dealer, right? I mean, this is all his dealers.
I never spent it. Yeah, I never spent it.
That's what I'm saying. I imagine April didn't either. So April probably associated the high that she got with drugs from Nick, because Nick was her dealer, right? I mean, whether he sold it to her or not, I'm just saying that was her connection to it. So when you start to use drugs, you know this, you've used a little bit, you become focused on the drugs instead of your personal life. That's why she wasn't like mailing the guests their gift certificates, or, I'm just saying, you could tell she disconnected from the show. So when did you notice the switch when April, because the internet, I remember seeing the clips where the internet was calling April out. I didn't think it was that true. I don't believe anything. You know how we have A-logs that just make fun of everything we do. Half of it's BS. But I'm saying, when did April make the switch? And at what point did you start liking Caleb? Because do you think you liking Nick's wife pushed April away more?
I don't know what happened first. I don't know if Kayla and I started spending more time together because we were fighting with our spouses, or we were fighting with our spouses because we were spending more time together. I've gone back and forth between those two things. I've said both of those things. I'm not sure. Just the whole lifestyle, the whole time is a crazy whirlwind, and again, I can't recommend it for anybody. It scandalizes your marriage. It destroyed a good relationship, and maybe two good relationships. You know,
you're gonna get a third wife. I'm not kidding when I say that. Just realize that. Man up. It's gonna suck right now. You'll find another. I got chat rats. I'm saying you have an audience. You're gonna find some lady in Kundahai County that's gonna want to be with you, Aaron. You're not.
I will say this,
You're a
Alex,
thin fella. You're okay looking guy. You know, you'll be okay.
Thank you, buddy. But I will say this. I'm kind of in that the phase of that Mitch Hedberg joke. I don't currently have a girlfriend. I just know a girl who would get really mad if she heard me say that.
Oh, already? You got to be kidding already. Okay, I want to get into that, but we got to play this clip from the hot tub stream. Do we have this clip? Because this clip is...
Oh, shit.
We have to play this. Yes, we just have to play a short clip.
By the way, this one...
I would give you a pass.
...doesn't like me very much.
Okay.
I don't not going well.
I only got into this house because of this one here.
Absolutely. I'm charming.
These two are friends. He and I, a lot of weird homosexual friction that we're both denying.
Definitely.
Do you want to read this name right here?
It's only friction because he does
Where's
it like
Sid?
glue.
What did Sid have?
Did Nick ever watch you blast his wife?
No.
He never was in the corner in the cuck chair doing...
No.
Then what was all that gay friction talk about? That sounds like there's something...
So the whole hot tub stream was my brilliant brainchild that would... It would, because there were all the swinger rumors were starting already. Like they were all over the place.
And it was true. And it's true. So you just said, hey, let's just let basically...
But they
dog
didn't
whistle
know that.
it?
So I go ahead and I go, why don't we just overload them with this over-the-top swinging energy? And then they'll be like, well, nobody would be dumb enough to be this brazen and open with it. And then...
the internet's smarter than you and I combined. The internet,
Yes,
that's the
they are.
thing, is they're smarter and they can tell. But, let's talk about some positive stuff, though, before you go, because, I know you got, like I said, a million other shows. How are you going to rectify this? Because it sounds like you don't want to have any relationship with April. I know you don't wish her any ill, but I'm saying it seems like that's totally done. You're a father. Like, I know you're trying to get back into a normal life. What is your goal right now to get out of this? Or are you going to keep talking about it? Because it's not going to go away. Nick's going to continue to have court cases. It's going to be something that people talk about because, A, he covered legal stuff. He's going through legal stuff. So it's kind of his whole niche, right? So this isn't going to go away. What are you kind of game planning? I know you don't know, but what do you think is going to happen with Steel Toe Morning Show?
I've got a great support system. My family and friends have been very understanding about everything I've told them. If you ever find yourself in a situation like this, always be honest with people. Tell them exactly what happened. And if they love you, they'll forgive you. As far as the show goes, look, we're going to cover this. It's my life. I talk about my life on the show. I talk about the news. The news and my life happen to be very intertwined right now. So we're going to talk about it. I do want to start adding other stories, topics, and things into the show. But right now, things just keep coming out every day and we have to talk about them. And there's thousands of people at a time who are coming to us, asking us these questions. I want to know. And I was there firsthand and I know certain things and I speak on the things that I saw and the things that I experienced. So I guess I'll continue to do that. Day to day in my private life, I think about it a lot, obviously. And I'm kind of getting over it and recovering from it. So I don't know how healthy all the show stuff is, but again, I can't run from it on my show. I can't lie to my audience. So we're just going to keep covering it while things are still happening. And then hopefully eventually, obviously the viewership and the attention will die down over time. And we'll just go back to kind of our normal show and covering things and stuff like that.
Well, sadly, though, like this is Vic was talking about, this is going to die down, right? The views are going to go down, but then they're going to spike back up because Vic is now his views are up because people are talking about this. You go to Nick's channel, his first pinned video is him and Vic Mignogna. So now Vic is like, well, it looks like I'm associating with a guy that's neglecting his kids, according to the pastor at his church, and that is basically high on over 25 grams of cocaine, almost an amount that a drug dealer would have. So sadly, you're never going to be able to wash the stain away. What's going to happen to April? I know she would talk about before. I know you don't know, but what do you speculate is going to happen with April? Because she was kind of worried about her behavior on streams and future jobs. Is she going to go back with Nick? What do you think is going to happen to April?
I don't know where she is right now. Whenever we communicate, it devolves, it gets bad. So I'm going to, I don't think we really want to speak to each other right now. I think we want to get the divorce done and just move on, or at least I do. But God, man, I really hope she finds that person again. I really hope she's
good looking. She will. How much did it affect her that Red Bar would call her Mega Mind? That had to hurt her feelings, right?
I don't know. You'd have to ask her. She never let on to me that bothered her.
Because she's she's an attractive girl, but that was that Mega Mind.
Pretty.
I laughed about that for a long time. People laugh people laugh when they make fun of me. I mean, it's just natural, right? But did that not?
I'm sure you did, Alex.
Well, I'm saying, how much did the internet affect April? Because I know it affects you, but you've been doing it a little longer, so you've gotten hate, and you realize you get a thicker skin. I've gotten a thicker skin, but April didn't have that time to develop that thick skin. So how much did the outside, echoing, you're on drugs, how bad did it affect her?
A lot. April was, when she started doing this, she was so excited. I remember she would complain about her job, and I said, well, you want to come work with me? And she was so excited to do it. And when all the positivity and people talking about how beautiful she is and how good she's getting at broadcasting would come in, she would love that. She really enjoyed it. And as much as I tried to brace her and prepare her for negative comments by saying, don't worry about it, don't read it, everybody gets an opinion, we get to do a show, they get to talk about it. You can't prepare someone for that. And you either have it in you to handle that kind of stuff or you don't. And then they really leaned in hard on her, especially once she let on that it affected her. And again, I won't have another partner on the air ever again because it's not good for your relationship.
Okay, now last couple questions. Patty Melt in LO, in all of this, he's made so much content about you. There's people that do that about me. You know who we're talking about. I feel like he's jealous of all the success that you're having right now. I know you wouldn't trade it, but what is the vibes that you're getting? I don't know the latest. I haven't been watching Patrick's streams. I see his clips, but what has the NLO been saying? Has he been, chirping at you, or have you ignored him?
That whole world is really sick because I think the same thing you do. Mm-hmm. I think they're just looking at the viewership and the numbers and everything else and me passing him and everything else. And he's like, I think he's upset about it. I think he's a little, and I want to tell anybody who would feel that way, you don't want to go through this. I wouldn't wish this on Patrick Melton even. I mean, this is
the guy that's A-logged you and said the most repugnant things about your estranged wife. You're too nice a guy, dude. You got to go scorched earth.
Alex, and maybe I will. Maybe that'll be next. But Alex, honestly, I go to a particular meeting once a week because of the things I've seen. I'm going to therapy once a week for the things I've been a part of. This is going to be a long journey. This was tough, and doing shows while I'm kind of recovering from all this and the things, by the way, and when I say recovering from all this, things I've done, things I'm responsible for. Absolutely 100%.
Who had did Kayla ever say who had a bigger dick, you or Nick?
No, Alex.
You didn't ask?
No, Alex.
You come on, just say it. Yeah, but Nick's not gonna. I mean, who is bigger? Nick was thin. Aren't you guys both tall, thin guys? You guys should have some big hogs.
I will tell you this. I can't. Again, I've told this story before. I don't remember which girl said it. This is the best I can do for you. She said, "Both of my guys have great dicks."
Kayla said that? Kayla said that? That's disgusting.
I don't know. That could have been Kayla. That could have been I don't know who it was. Somebody said
you guys never did a double team blast. Come on. Admit it right now.
No,
you never did.
There was a lot of
one in the pink, one in the stink.
Between Nick and I, there was a lot of high school, college maturity level homophobia in interacting in general.
Well, he did get naked on your stream. Was in his boxers. I mean, he was hanging wang basically. Okay, now
he also got caught with almost 27 grams of coke in his house. I mean, there were a lot of judgment calls that maybe weren't the best.
Well, Aaron, I really appreciate you being honest, and I really do appreciate you saying that you're not innocent in this, because you're not. But I think that you're actually taking accountability, and I think that's where Nick is failing the most. Because if Nick is watching this, Nick, you can come back from this. This is not, you didn't kill anybody. This is bad, but believe it or not, people are going to even like you more, Nick, if you're watching this. And believe it or not, Aaron, people are going to like you more now. So in a way, you guys can capitalize on this if you really want. But you got to change.
Yes, you got to change. I want Nick and everybody involved to take responsibility. I know that he wants to be a good dad. I know that both of them want to be good parents, and I know he can do it. He's got to take responsibility. Yeah, there are days where I get angry and I'm just going to fucking bury Nick and shit on him for the things we've been through and everything. But ultimately, I do think the guy wants to be a good dad. I don't want to see him go to prison. If he's going to take accountability, if he's going to own what he did, and if he's going to stop doing drugs and stop drinking and focus solely on being a father, I want to see him make that comeback. I do. The reason I'm so angry now and kind of beating the shit out of the guy online is because he's been arrogant. He's been dismissive. He's been in denial of all of this since it happened.
This is the final last question. What was the final straw where you and Nick said this is over? Like, what? I don't know if did you tell that story? What was the final thing that said, I'm out of here, I'm done with this? What was the final straw?
April and I were having a lot of problems. April and I were just not getting along. It was not working. The writing was on the wall. There was a lot of fighting. And then, there was a night I remember where Nick was texting me a lot of questions about what Kayla and I were doing. And he was texting me a lot of like really invasive questions about, where was your hand here? What did you do this night? What was this? And I remember it just being a really tense night in the house, and I left. And I never went back after that. I remember I was hanging out with some friends and some family members at my house. I was texting with Kayla and I probably April and Nick. And I said, guys, I don't think I'm going to come back. My kids are playing in the yard. My kids didn't like going there anymore.
Yeah, but I thought the final straw, let's be real, I thought the final straw is April drove your kids to your ex-wife's house high.
No. Oh my God. If that's a rumor out there, no,
that's
absolutely
not.
April,
okay.
April never drove my kids high. Okay. April never, for what I understand, April was never around the kids high.
Good.
Never once. Absolutely not. April was a very good stepmother to those children. It's just, again, those demons grab you and your priorities change. But she was never high around those kids, and she never drove those kids high. Not once, not ever. But the last straw was Nick and I got into a really big fight. The next day I was hanging out with family and friends, and I kind of just went, I don't think I want to go back. And I don't know how bad they want me back, to be honest. So I sent a text that said, Kayla was asking, are you going to come over tomorrow? And I said, I don't think I can come back. And that set Nick off, and he sent me this barrage. He told you to
K yourself. That's what he did. So when he tells that story,
barrage of texts, he said, you led my wife on. You should do the world a favor and kill yourself and this and that. And it's just that to me meant that kind of made my decision easy. I was already leaning towards, I don't think I'm going to come back. It hurts to, my wife and I are on the outs. They wanted to keep doing the thing. And I'm like, I don't think I can. And then if there was ever a way to kind of talk it back, the whole kill yourself thing, I was like, well, that's probably enough for me.
Well, Aaron, thank you for being honest. I'll be talking to you. We're going to be, this is going to be must-see TV for a little while now. So thank you for being so honest. And you need to ride the wave. That's the only advice. You're not innocent, but listen, you got to, you got to turn shit into sugar somehow. So good luck. I'm happy. Hopefully you can make a few bucks. And you need to really speak the truth, because I think that makes you look the best in the situation and taking accountability. So listen, I'm not the best role model. Apparently you're not the best one either, but we can get that way. We can always be better, right? We can always be better. I have room to improve. So do you. I'm happy you're taking the steps to do that. So thank you, Aaron, so much. And everybody go watch Steel Toe Morning Show. You stream twice a day, Mondays and Monday through Friday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we stream twice, morning and evening, and then Thursday and Friday, just the morning.
Check out Steel Toe Morning Show. Thank you, Aaron. I'll be in contact. Have a good one.
The whole chat did not believe him. They kept saying liar, liar, liar.
They thought what was he lying about?
That last story about was it April driving the kids while high? They did not believe that.
They said that she did.
Yeah.
I know. Well, maybe he's running cover. He's trying to sweep. They call it nose guarding for Nick right now.
I don't know. He's a pretty convincing liar. If
I
that's
know.
the
He
case.
seems like an okay guy. When it comes to Aaron, everybody needs to go hear his side of the story. He's going to give you an insight. I know this is gossipy garbage that we're talking about, but sadly, gossipy garbage is interesting. And when it comes to people like Nick Rekieta, wife swapping and blasting each other's wives, it makes for an interesting story to say the least. So you guys can catch up with all the drama. A good channel that you can catch up with this, go to Alyssa Clips on YouTube. They are great at covering all of the Nick Rekieta drama. So if you guys are like, what was this all about? What was that guy talking about blasting people's wife? Just go to Alyssa Clips on YouTube and you can get all of the backlog of information about this conspiracy, or not even conspiracy, this scandal. Hit that beat! Yo! Pimp on a blend. Pimp on a blend, Dr. Parkenstein. Sharing your wife is really not fine. When a guy blasts her in Minnesota while you're sniffing that white Yoda like a Jedi, not gonna lie, snorting cocaine to the day you die. Nick Rekieta, stop the blow. Don't ever do it on your show. You are jacking and you're attacking and you're whacking, you're jerking. Do a herky jerk. Put the coke down. I don't care if it takes you to town. Going to jail. Gonna make your bail. Gonna raise hell. I'm a pimp on a blunt and I love you all. That's why I got to say bye, y'all. Peace and good night. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit it now. And you know who should have been drinking Cask Brew coffee instead of alcohol? Our boy Nick Rekieta. So don't be like him. Drink coffee instead of cocktails. Go to caskbrew.com. Use promo code PRIMETIME so they know that I sent you. We love you, Tim Pool. Thank you. Shout out Tim Pool. Shout out Cask Brew Coffee. All right.